Welcome to the Nonmember Project. Today we're interviewing Michael. He's a non-LDS student here at BYU, and he's in the same neuroscience lab as I am, or was, until our professor retired. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much, Leah. I'm so glad to be here. And as you already heard, my name is Michael Forvil. I'm from Haiti, and I'm a sophomore studying neuroscience. And I met Leah in a neuroscience lab where we were working with data from monkeys.
Yeah, and we had no idea that each other were non-members.
Yeah, we had no idea until that party that we organized at the end of the semester when we were making gingerbread houses. It was my first time ever making it, and that's when we know that we both were non-members at BYU.
Yeah, so we can't usually identify each other unless you're like in a non-member class or something. So that's how Michael and I found out. And you're also an international student as well, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
I'm here on a student visa, and I'm from Haiti.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's been really fun to get to know Michael, and we haven't talked a lot about the non-member experience. So
we have not. We have only talked about lab experiences, neuroscience stuff, talking about the brain.
Yeah, which is all pretty cool.
Yeah, but I'm excited to be here today to have a different kind of conversation.
Awesome. So the first question we always get asked, and I'm going to ask it every time, is why did you end up at BYU?
You know, I get this question a lot, and when I get this question, I usually start by telling a story, but there's a very straightforward answer for me. It's that it's God. I believe that God brought me here. And if you would like to hear the story, I can get into it also.
Yeah, we would love to hear the story.
Okay. So since I was in high school, I always wanted to study outside of Haiti because of the socioeconomic situation of the country and also political instability. I wanted to study abroad so that I could have a more rich undergraduate experience. So I was trying to study anywhere really outside of Haiti, and I applied to schools around the world in Canada mostly because my English was not very proficient at that time. And I got into some universities and they were so expensive that my parents could not afford them. So I had to just give up on them until my cousin who's in Haiti told me about the English Language Center of BYU.
Yeah.
And it's an English school, and I came here at the English Language Center because it was more affordable. And that's when I know about BYU. I had no idea about BYU or Utah before I came to that school. Yeah. And that's how I ended up here in Utah at BYU studying English at the English Language Center. And after that, I decided to apply to get into BYU. But when I applied the first time, I did not get in. And I honestly felt a little sad because while I was at the ELC studying English, I got the opportunity to work on campus, and the Christian environment of campus really attracted me, and I wanted to be part of that. But also, I'm gonna be honest, BYU is one of the most affordable schools in the US.
And it is.
And money was a big thing for me going into college. So I made the decision also based on money and the Christian environment. But after I was not admitted the first time I applied, I went through the BYU website and I was just looking at pictures, looking at different resources. And then I came across the honors program.
Yeah.
And that one, I saw interdisciplinary approaches to issues. And I was like, I feel like there's a lot of things that I'm missing. And I decided that I'm going to apply again for the subsequent semester. And then I applied and I prayed a lot and fasted. And finally, God gave me the answer. I needed to be here at BYU, and now I'm here.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and that's like actually pretty common for non-members to say, like, I feel like God brought me here. Which is really interesting because from like an LDS perspective, they're like, what? To convert? Did you come here to convert?
Me? Are you
Yeah.
asking me? Well, that was not the main reason why I came here. But there's a lot of people who told me, I know when you go to BYU, they are going to try to convert you, to baptize you. Don't let that happen. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, no, that's not why I come here. I come
Right.
here to study and to have experience, and that's all.
Yeah, and a
Mhm.
good experience.
Good
It's definitely a
experiences,
good
yeah.
experience. Have you had people try to convert you since you've been here?
I have not, but
Yeah.
the missionaries, they always find me.
Yeah.
Yeah, studying neuroscience and
Yeah.
being pre-med also,
Yeah.
we have crazy schedules. So
Mhm.
sometimes I'm not able to meet with them, but other times when I have time, I even meet with them on campus,
Mhm.
and then we talk about different things. And a lot of times it's so fascinating to see them being surprised or happy that there are so many things that I'm saying to them.
Mhm.
And it's kind of, they are surprised that I know those things
About the LDS church.
about the LDS
Yeah.
church
Yeah.
or Christianity in general. For
Uh-huh.
example, I think the LDS church focuses a lot on the atonement of Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
And that's the same thing that I believe also as a Christian.
Mhm.
And when I start talking about all those things, and usually the missionaries or the people, they are like, oh, that's so interesting. It's sometimes I feel like they might not know that other Christians share those same things.
Yeah.
But it's always so interesting to see their reaction when that happens.
We do have a lot in common. What
Yeah.
do you identify as religiously?
I am a Seventh-day Adventist.
Which is a particular denomination of Christianity?
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How would you describe the difference between a Seventh-day Adventist and other members of the Christian umbrella of religion?
I think the main factor that differs the Seventh-day Adventist from the other denomination within Christianity is that in the Seventh-day Adventist, we focus on the Sabbath being Saturday. And besides that, there are other more detailed differences. For example, when you go into the doctrines, I think
Yeah.
that happens for any type of denomination.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
but the main difference, I think, comes from the Saturday being the Sabbath for Seventh-day Adventist.
Awesome. So do you have church on Saturday here?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Do you attend a church? Is it in Provo?
Yeah, there is one in Provo.
Yeah.
It's not too far from where I live.
Yeah.
So I get the opportunity to go there.
That's great. I've
Yes.
seen that. That's really good that it's so close. Because there's a lot of churches that aren't, like, we don't really have a close Catholic church here. So a lot of our Catholic students have trouble getting to church. Do you walk to church? Do you have a ride, or do you have a car?
When I used to live south of campus, I used to walk because it's not far from south of campus. But right now I live in a different place. So I usually go with my friend. He gives me a ride and we go to church.
Nice. Is he
Yeah.
also Seventh-day Adventist?
He's not. He's LDS.
And he comes with you?
He comes with me.
That's so cool.
Yes.
We
it's
love
so
to see it.
And recently I've had a lot of other friends from the Black Student Union come with me to church, and they were so happy to experience a different denomination of Christianity. And
Yeah.
I think they were also excited to see how much similarities there are between the LDS church and the Seventh-day Adventist church.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yes.
So have you found that most people on campus are excited to help participate in your faith as well?
I think a lot of them are. I don't know if I can say most of them, but
The friends you've made.
okay. If you're talking about my friends, I would say most of them.
Yeah.
Because I have some friends, especially from the honors program, who have reached out to me and they say, Michael, I would like to visit your church just to experience something new.
Yeah. That's really cool. I find that it's so special to have people that are friends with me come to church with me, because we spend so much time talking about the LDS church here. So sometimes it's difficult when you feel like you know all the background for other people's lives and they know like nothing about yours.
About you. Yeah. It's like the connection is a little bit one-sided.
Yeah.
But when they step into your world, now I feel like the connection becomes stronger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And speaking of that, I need to go to your church also with you sometimes.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of like interfaith stuff within like the non-member community here. There's a handful of Muslim students we have, and we have a bunch of people right now fasting with them for Ramadan.
That's so good.
So a lot of people that work with me in the Office of Belonging are fasting for Ramadan, which is so cool.
That's
Shout out
awesome.
to them.
That's
I
awesome.
can't because I get migraines, but yeah, it's really awesome just to be able to have those experiences. And it doesn't mean that you're leaving your faith or that you value your faith less. In fact, I think it's really a testament to being strong in your own faith to be able to participate in other traditions at a level that's obviously comfortable with you within, you know, you don't want to do anything that's against your religion, but there's a lot of ways that you can participate in other faith traditions without going outside of your own tradition that are really special, and they help us have more of a connection with people that don't agree with us on everything or have a different religion. So Michael, what are some really good experiences you've had at BYU? Like 1 or 2 experiences you've had that have really been like, you look at them and you're like, this encapsulates the best of my BYU experience.
Okay. For the first one is the support I get from my advisor at BYU. And I don't want to say his name on camera, but he knows I'm talking about him.
Yeah.
And when I was admitted to BYU, he reached out to me via email and said, I am an advisor at BYU and I am here to help you with anything. And I was just so happy to have someone reach out to me. I didn't have to make the first step. That was so meaningful to me. And I've been meeting with my advisor every 2 weeks from my freshman year until right now that I'm a sophomore, about to be a junior. So that has been really helpful to me as an international student. And also, I consider myself first generation student, even though my dad went to university, but he did not go to university in the US.
Yeah.
So in the US, I consider myself a first generation student because I have no idea about how the education system works. And my advisor has been really helpful to help me go through those first 2 years of my undergraduate journey.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Can you think of any ones with like other students or like in the university as a whole?
You mean good experiences?
Yeah,
or?
just like good experiences you've had.
Okay. I've had very good experiences with students overall, especially in the honors program and also in the Black Student Union. Those are 2 very tight communities for me on campus. And I've made really good friends. And when we are there, you can just feel like you can be yourself. You don't have to hide anything. And you're just very comfortable. So this has been very good.
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes you are hiding things when you're on campus with like the general population here?
I wouldn't say I am hiding things, but I think I'm trying to think about the best way to put it. It's not like I am hiding if someone asks me, but I don't just say something. I'll give you an example. For example, if we are in a class and there's a joke that is made, and the joke is based on the LDS culture. Because I have taken the introduction to the church class, there's a lot of things that I understand. And when that joke is made, I can laugh. And if I'm laughing at the joke, everyone is just going to assume that I am a member and I understand everything. So I'm not going to stand up and say, actually, I'm not a member of the church. So I don't really get it or anything like that. So that's what I meant by it's not really hiding, but I don't just go and say, oh, I'm not a member of the church. Even if it is assumed sometimes.
Right, it's definitely assumed.
Yeah.
At what point do you think you like usually tell people that you're not LDS?
When they ask me.
Yeah. Directly.
When they ask me, I'll tell them. But if not, I won't say anything.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that a lot of times when I'm very far in a conversation with someone and probably a comment can be made and they realize that I am not a member, or
Mm-hmm.
they ask me, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't ask. Are you a member?" And I said no. And they are surprised because the way that the conversation was going,
Yeah.
it felt like it was with a member.
Yeah. Well, we can keep up with the conversation. Yeah. So it's not
Yes.
hard to
Uh-huh.
have people assume.
Yes. And usually one thing that I wish people could do better at
Mm-hmm.
is when we say that we are not a member of the church, sometimes people immediately ask, "Why did you choose to come to BYU?"
Every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the person might have good intention behind the
Yeah, for
question,
sure.
but when it comes immediately after I say I'm not a member, it makes me feel like BYU is only for members of the LDS Church.
Yeah.
And
Like you're not supposed to be here.
and
Mm-hmm.
I wish people could understand that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to ask this question, but not immediately after I say I
Yeah.
am not a member.
Right. Like give us a little bit of time to get to know you.
Yes.
Please. Yeah, because it is really difficult just walking into a conversation and having someone ask you like a really deep question. Like, why did you come here? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's difficult. But do you usually answer that question, or do you just kind of say, oh, it's a good option for me?
I usually say something within what you just said. It's a good school and good education. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as everyone else in some ways.
Yes.
And then in others, it's really different. But
Uh-huh.
what did your family think about you coming to an LDS school?
Oh, my family was extremely happy. My parents were extremely happy because when I applied for the ELC, I was back home in Haiti, and when they sent me all the documents to sign, everything, the honor code, and my mom was reading it, and then she said, "You know what? We are not worried about you. You're gonna be okay."
Yeah, at least they don't party.
And she saw all the statements about being honest, loyal, and the law of I don't know how
chastity.
Chastity. Thank you so much. English is my third language.
Michael's smarter than all of us. Neuroscience major that knows 3 languages.
I mean, you're a neuroscience major too.
I don't know 3 languages.
Okay. I think we should get back to the conversation. And yes, my parents, they were very happy that I was going to come to a school with a Christian environment. They were very happy about that.
Yeah, I think my parents were too. Now that I'm thinking back on it, I think that was one of our conversations. It was like, oh, at least they don't party.
Yes.
Which is not all parents, but yeah, definitely when you leave the house for the first time, going a long way away, it does give probably some comfort.
Yes.
So, yeah. What is some place that you found belonging on campus that you would really like to talk about?
I think I've mentioned those places earlier. In the honors program, the Black Student Union, and also having friends who are not necessarily part of the honors program or the Black Student Union.
Yeah.
People who really care about me. Anything within this realm is where I find belonging and then comfort at BYU.
What are some ways that people specifically have helped you to feel more of a sense of belonging than just, people are generally nice to us.
Yes.
Like, I don't think we have many experiences. I'll ask you later about some maybe, but we don't have a ton of experiences where people are overtly mean to us for being non-LDS.
Yes.
But it is still hard to find a sense of belonging.
And
it's also hard to describe that to people. But what are some ways that you felt like, okay, this is a place that I do really feel like I belong? Like, how have people contributed to that sense of belonging for you?
Yes, I think it's when people try to get to know me for Michael, and they're not trying to get to know me because I am not a member of the LDS Church. And by that I mean when I am having a conversation with someone and they are asking me about what I do for fun, for example, what do I miss about my culture, my country, and asking me about my family, things that are really personal, but not exactly talking about subjects that involve not being a member of the church.
Yeah.
I feel like I can connect to the person better when the conversation is more personal rather than being based around religion.
Right. Like, why do you believe this? Or sometimes people get into like missionary mode. I'm sure you've experienced this where it's like rapid fire questions. And they're not bad questions, but you
Uh-huh.
can just tell that the reason they're being asked is not to actually get to know you. It's like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, you're not a member? Where are you from? Why did you come here? What's your
Mhm.
major? Oh, it's so cool that you're here. And
Yes.
you could tell it's like just like missionary mode where people are taught on missions to kind of have this generic conversation with people to get to know them a little bit better before they start teaching lessons or asking if people want lessons taught to them.
Mhm.
And that's not in and of itself a bad thing,
Yes.
but it is difficult to find a sense of belonging when you're met with people's missionary selves
Yes.
instead of their like genuine selves
That's
sometimes.
true. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think it really puts a veil between
Mm-hmm.
you and the person. It's just, I think when you are asked those questions in that ways, the person is trying to understand your background
Mm-hmm.
and where you come from and your religion or anything like that, but not really yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. And that's totally different.
it's very
Like knowing
different.
my background is not knowing me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Very different things.
right. But
Yeah.
it's hard to describe. I feel like it's such a kind of a like out there concept.
Yeah,
But
it's very hard to describe, just like you
Mhm.
just said. And I think, yeah, I think it's possible for people to get to that point,
Mhm.
but it might need a lot of practice, as a lot of things in life. The more you practice, you can get better at it. And I think that could be something for people to practice also, just trying to get the person for the person, not the background.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just for who we are, not our potential.
Yes.
Because sometimes people look at us as like potential members of the LDS church. They're like,
Yes.
oh, you would be such a good member.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Oh,
what?
yeah, I've heard comments like that
Yeah.
when, for example, if I'm in a conversation with someone and they say, "You would be a great mission president." And then in my mind, I'm like,
Not just a member, a mission president.
yes. And I'm just thinking, okay. But I
Yeah.
usually just smile and I
Right.
don't.
It's like kind of a compliment.
Yes.
Like it's not mean at all.
It's not mean.
It's just kind of kind of difficult when you're like, I feel like you don't really see me for who I am, but
Yes.
okay.
I mean, it's a nice comment,
Yeah.
but it just gives you the vibe of the person is just thinking about something beyond just connecting with you as a person,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Once I had someone I think it was someone trying to recruit me to work at the MTC,
Mm-hmm.
the Missionary Training Center, and I was like, I don't think I can. Like, I'm not LDS. And he was like, you're not LDS, but you have such a light about you. And I was like, so do people that are not LDS not have a light about them? That's awkward.
That's, I think, just like I was talking about earlier, there's
Yeah.
a lot of things that people assume
Mm-hmm.
about others who are not LDS, members of the LDS church. And one of them is, just like you just said, you have such a light about you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you're virtuous,
Yeah.
people, it's, I
If you follow Christian principles, then people are like, oh,
mhm.
you actually practice your religion?
Yes.
Like, oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we do. There's a
Yeah.
lot of practicing people of other religions that hold to similar standards as the LDS Church. Obviously, not the exact same ones. Like, I'm sure we have different ideas from the LDS Church in some ways, but in a lot of them, it's pretty similar. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And I also believe that anyone can have a light in them. Anyone can be virtuous. It doesn't matter which denomination or which religion they are part of. And it doesn't matter if they are part of any religion at all. Someone can still have a very bright light in them and still be virtuous.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes hard to see here,
Yes.
unfortunately. So what are some experiences you've had that you want to talk about that were maybe more negative for you? Whether it's because of being non-LDS, being an international student, any of those sorts of things.
Um, Personally, I have not had horrible experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Besides when someone asks me, why do you come to BYU after I tell them that I am not LDS? I know, I don't know if people understand it, but it really makes me feel uncomfortable sometimes because when that question comes after I say, oh, I'm not LDS, and you say, why do you come to BYU? It makes me feel like BYU is not my place,
Yeah.
which is not the case.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I have heard other people having experiences, racist experiences, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But when those things happen to other people, it really hurts me also, even if it doesn't happen to
Yeah.
me personally. So I still consider it because it could be me
Yeah.
because we are sometimes when people experience racism, it's just because of their looks, and
Yeah.
I look no different from those other people who have experienced horrible things, even if I have not personally experienced that, but I still consider them as kind of my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think that's important to acknowledge because it is really taxing on the community and people of color at BYU when
Yes.
you hear about experiences happening to your friends
Hmm.
because that's still going to add to difficulties at BYU and how you look at the student population here and how you see your experience here based on what people like you have experienced.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, it's really sad and I think it happens everywhere but it definitely doesn't help that we have such a large majority here that yeah, being different sometimes is harder than it is other places.
It is.
Yeah.
And I also wish that people could see that there is so much beauty in differences.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wrote a paper recently for one of my classes
Yeah.
about that. The paper was about describing something that's beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided to write about differences and disagreements in a community and how that's beautiful because when you have differences, that comes with people with unique perspectives, and then when you combine all those things, you can find really creative ideas or even innovation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's differences, disagreements, they are beautiful, and if people can find a way to work together with them,
Yeah.
they could make amazing things happen.
Right? Yeah, that's
Yes.
something that gives me so much joy when I think about within my own faith tradition. And I think you have the same idea about heaven is that it's
Hmm.
going to be every tribe, language, people, and nation.
Hmm.
And like just that concept of God valuing diversity
Yes.
is so prevalent in my theology here, just thinking about like, wow, this is not like heaven doesn't look like a monolith
Yeah.
of people. Heaven looks like all of these people with so many different opinions and languages and cultures, and all of that can be beautiful. And together, it's even more beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the unity of all of that being able to combine
Exactly.
is awesome.
It's
So
awesome.
yeah, so you participated in Perspectives, right?
I did.
Which is one of our multicultural events here, and
Mhm.
we have a lot of really cool multicultural events with the Multicultural Student Services. So
Yes.
we appreciate all the things that they do for our students, and a lot of those events have been really special for non-LDS students as well as other students of other minorities, whether that's international or multicultural.
Mhm.
So how was your experience with Perspectives?
You know, I would describe this experience as
Mm-hmm.
the most valuable experience I've had at BYU
Mm-hmm.
since I've been here as a student. I went to Perspective last year and I
Mm-hmm.
was in the audience clapping and everything was great. And this year I decided I feel like I have to be on the stage right now making other people clap also
Yeah.
for me and for all the performers, and also clap for Black history and celebrating our Black sisters and brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It was such an amazing experience. I didn't know that I could dance actually.
Michael's a really good dancer, guys. Like
Thank
I
you.
was in the audience. He's a really good dancer.
Thank you, Leah.
You
I'm
you never
trying.
danced before?
Only in my room.
What?
Yes,
I'm
only
actually shocked. Like, I saw him on stage. He's very good.
thank you so much. I only danced in my room when I'm watching YouTube videos, and I'm saying, oh, could I do this dance? And then I just try to do something. Usually it doesn't look good, honestly. But um preparing for perspective, practicing with
Mhm.
everyone, I think we practiced for over a month. It was a really amazing opportunity, very good experience. I got to meet a lot of people
Mhm.
and then make really strong connections. And then it was very empowering for me to be on stage and promoting black black history, black excellence, anything black design, anything related
Yeah.
to the culture. It was a very powerful experience for me.
Yeah, and it's really great to watch from the audience too. I think it's so fun to have these events that where we allow students to share part of their culture because it brings so much joy to the performers. Like you said, there's a lot of like making new connections with people
Hmm.
who share some of your background
Yes,
that you may not have met otherwise, and
yes,
that help contribute to your sense of belonging and finding people that have similar experiences to you. But it's also really cool because you have so many people in the audience that may have never experienced your culture, especially
yes.
here because we have such a small number of minorities here.
Hmm.
So when people are able to come to a bigger event like that, we can share with more people. And
Yes,
so we get more exposure to campus. And I think it's just, like you said, it's just such a cool experience to be able to share that
to share
with
it.
everyone
Yes.
because, yeah, like our cultures, our dance, our religions, our
Hmm.
beliefs were not meant to be like in a box.
Yes,
And so it's just so good to be able to, share that with the
to
greater
share.
community
Yes.
and have them be able to appreciate it, even if they aren't part of that culture, or even if they don't believe in your tradition, if it's a
Hmm.
faith tradition. It's just really cool to be able to share it.
Yeah, it's so
So,
amazing. And it also gives them an opportunity to learn things
mhm.
that they might have had to go into a book and spend hours searching for it, but you can just come to the audience and then just listen to someone talk about an experience or
Yeah,
just seeing everything that is being displayed on the stage. It just helps you learn so much about a different culture.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much more, I think, in like music and dance and
Yes.
understanding a culture
Yes.
sometimes than there ever could be from like a book or
Hmm.
even just talking to someone.
Yeah.
Like being able to say, hey, we could show you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. That
So,
was that was that was a great experience, and I'm excited for the next 2 or 3 years that I'll still be here.
yeah, me too. I'll come
Yes.
watch.
Okay.
So, Michael, do you feel like you belong at BYU?
Ooh, this is this is a very deep question.
It's a hard one.
It's a hard
Yeah.
one. I'm going to answer based on the experiences that I've had. I would say that I feel like I belong to a certain extent, you know, because when I have people who really care about me,
Hmm.
who are helping me go throughout college without even having known me before, it means a lot to me. And having many different communities where I can just go and then just have fun when I need to take a break from studying for organic
Yeah.
chemistry.
Studying never ends for
Studying,
us.
yeah, studying is an ongoing process for
Yeah.
us. And all of those communities that I can find, whether in the honors community, the
Hmm.
Black Student Union, with a group of friends, and people who are just here who care about me, I feel like I belong
Hmm.
if I consider all those things.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you were talking to someone who's entering the school, whether they're a non-member or not, what would be your biggest advice for them in finding a sense of belonging here?
Um, I would tell them to find communities. I usually talk about communities in Peru because I think that sometimes people try to find a community with people who share the same ideas or background as them. For
Hmm.
example, if I'm a black student, I would tend to go to the Black Student Union and I say, okay, this is my community, then I stay here. I
Hmm.
think that would limit yourself to the full experience that you can get here at BYU. So I would advise someone to find communities. And by communities, I mean people who really care about you. I know I mentioned that a lot, but that's how
Yeah.
I consider the community. People who care about you, who are willing to understand you, connect with you.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere you can find that, go for it. And
Yeah.
I think you'll find a sense of belonging.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that because people are so multifaceted,
Yes.
and we tend to like put ourselves in boxes of
Mhm.
like my religion, my race, my ethnicity, whether or not I'm an international student. But
Yes.
we're all of those
We are
things.
all of those.
Yeah.
And
So
and sometimes when you go into a different community and you're trying to find a connection with other people, there are certain things that you might not have known about yourself that
Mhm.
that can be revealed also
yeah.
by
Yeah.
joining diverse communities.
Right. And even outside, like, I don't know how your experience has been with other minority groups on campus,
Mhm.
but I feel like I've been so accepted by the Polynesian students
Yes.
and the Arab students. You guys are awesome. We love you. And other non-member students. And like, I am no part Polynesian or
Mhm.
Arab, obviously.
Yes.
But I've just been able to experience so much like deep culture and so much caring from those people
Yes.
that I wouldn't have known if I had stuck only within the boxes
Within
that
the
are
box, yeah.
yeah, that I technically fit inside.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I
The-
completely agree with
Yes.
finding communities, plural.
Communities. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Uh-huh.
So is there anything else that you'd like to say to anyone that's LDS interacting with non-LDS students at BYU?
I think the most important thing is to understand that even if people are not LDS, it doesn't mean that they are not virtuous or
Mm-hmm.
that they don't have high standards also. I say high in quotation marks for people
Yeah.
who are not watching. And yeah, really try to get to know the person for the person, not because this person is not an LDS member.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that by doing that, you can make stronger connections with those people.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Do you have any last things to share or say about your experience at BYU?
Well, I am just excited to be here to
Mhm.
continue taking on to that journey and continue learning about many different cultures, sharing my culture also with many different cultures,
Yeah.
and continue to be here a student at BYU. And yeah, I'm just excited to learn from my professors, from my
Mhm.
peers, and sharing what I'm learning also with other people.
Great. And you're glad you came to BYU?
I am glad I came to BYU. I'm glad God brought me here, honestly.
Yep, me too.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on, Michael.
Thank you
It's
so
great to talk
much.
to you.
It was amazing to be here. Thank you so much, Leah. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Bye.
Bye bye.